time to talk basketball. Amin knows basketball. He'll teach you basketball. Expert in basketball.
He is a basketball expert, Stugotz. I don't know if you noticed, a couple of games in the 70s, there's a conspiracy that the league is trying to strangle scoring, and the referees are allowing more physical play.
It's just Thibodeau. I mean,
it's not just Thibodeau.
Well, it's back-to-back games with the 76ers. He has held them in the 70s. 79 points each game, by the way.
Okay, but I mean, is
79ers.
this a real thing that's happening? The idea that right after the All-Star break, we're going to officiate the games entirely differently. Is this a real thing or a conspiracy?
I don't know if it's a real thing, but I do know that the games have been officiated differently, whether that's because there was a directive or because, it's a complete coincidence. Or as my buddy Ethan Strauss says, it's like – he said it's like someone saying to the police who didn't know there was a woman missing, look, there's no way I left a woman's body in the woods by the creek behind that farm. No way, no how, right? So the idea is like the league was asked about this before the All-Star break, and they said we haven't we haven't addressed it. That's something we got to look at. There's no push from anyone at the league office about this because we haven't examined it yet. But yet, after that interview was given, we see the results.
I think it's because the refs are wearing the Emirates patches on their uniforms now. I think it's because the refs are wearing that little patch. They're like, we are serious now, and we're going to start doing things differently in this league.
These two are bombing in from Oddball, and Charlotte, I wanted to talk about why it is that Kate Middleton hasn't been heard from in a while, and I was told you can't do it. Charlotte's not here.
Yeah, thank you to everybody who had my back there. I've been dying to talk about this, Dan.
All right, so we can do it now.
No, but everybody has been. Right. Everybody has been around here, and so you'll forgive my ignorance here, but I have generally not... I've generally not been terribly interested in the gossip of the day around here, and you guys all whispering around about photoshopped mysteries around here, everybody wanting to talk about it has been a bit annoying.
Huh. Annoying?
That's not.
What annoys you about it?
Yeah. It's a missing person, Dan.
Right.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. We're not sure.
It's the mystery of the century, people are calling it.
Am I alone that I don't care at all about this?
No, you're not. I'm right with you.
You're with Dan and Roy, it seems.
It's not that I don't care. It's your guys. You are alleging credibly abduction.
No.
No.
Disappearance.
No.
Yeah.
Now you've gone too far.
Me and Stugotz were working on a top 5 reasons that she's gone.
No one has seen her. Mm-hmm. They say that she had planned abdominal surgery in early 2024. Mm-hmm. No one has seen her since Christmas Eve. The problem here is that they had a trip booked. They had official duties booked in early 2024. So would that have been a planned thing? People are saying she was rushed to the hospital December 28th, and everybody was clamoring for proof of Kate Middleton. And so the Royal Duchesses, the Cambridge, whatever their social media handle is.
Yes,
thank you.
That's the official.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kensington Palace. They put out a picture.
Yeah.
And it's a photo shoot. It was like Happy Mother's Day, and it's a picture of Kate Middleton and her 3 children. And if you look, it doesn't take an expert to see that they completely photoshopped it. And then instead of saying, hey, we photoshopped this picture for whatever reason, why wouldn't you just put out a picture? Put out a picture of Kate.
Nope.
We don't know where she is. We don't know what's going on. The palace said that Kate said, I'm just dabbling in Photoshop, like any amateur photographer.
Wow.
Well, they photoshopped Joe Burrow over her head. I mean.
Oh, wow. That's a good call.
That's incredible.
That kid does look like Joe Burrow.
A young Joe Burrow.
I get what you're saying.
I was wondering how we knew it was Photoshop, but apparently there are 16 reasons how we know. There's a photo here that points out every imperfection with the photo.
Yeah, there's some blurred pixels and stuff. It's weird.
I love the idea of the heiress to the throne, right? Like the soon-to-be Queen of England at some point is dabbling in Photoshop. Like she takes her own pictures and Photoshops. She doesn't have a team of people to do that. No. I like to do it on my own, and with the ones that I post to the public to show that I'm alive.
I agree. It's a terrible excuse and one of many PR mistakes that have happened in the last couple months because as Kate Middleton has not been seen in public, conspiracy theories and just theories in general about where she is have been running rampant. And instead of just ignoring those, because people will convince themselves of anything if they think maybe something nefarious has happened, even if it hasn't, they decided to just feed this fire by putting out a picture that is now clearly doctored and that they had to admit was doctored. So overall, just a absolute masterclass in how to not do PR. And the initial explanation of her absence, that she had surgery and is recovering, seems pretty plausible, because sometimes it takes a few months to recover from surgery. Maybe you don't want to be photographed in public right after a really tough surgery. But instead of just being like, she's fine, she's recovering from surgery, they're like, here's a picture that we photoshopped. Oopsies.
What kind of surgery?
Well, that's the thing. Well, there's a number of things. They also announced beforehand, like, oh, don't worry, she's just going to reappear after Easter, which is like, well, hold on. You're just announcing someone's going to disappear for 4 months. And like,
She is risen.
Are they just used to people not questioning anything they do? So like, yeah,
Yes.
it's cool. Someone's going to go missing for 4 months. You guys will be fine with this. I was joking with someone yesterday because I didn't think that, like, and even as I was like texting, and I'm like, this is too ridiculous. I'm like, maybe she got a Brazilian butt lift, right? Like joking. And then they send me screenshots of multiple people who believe that this is an actual theory of what is going on. They've handled this the worst way they possibly could.
I think the palace expects people to just believe what they say. But also, like, a Spanish news anchor was reporting that she was in a coma. Like, it's the dumbest thing ever, because in a vacuum of information, people just make stuff up. And instead of putting any of it to rest, they were like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to release a weird picture and give people more fodder for their weird ideas. It's crazy.
So, as I said earlier, Stugotz and I were workshopping a top 5 things that explaining the disappearance of Chris Middleton. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, what happened?
All right, I'm going to take the show back.
He's disappeared
this
too,
has happened a couple of different times here. Amin forgets that you just don't just get right back on, and your mind doesn't work the same way.
Well, Chris Middleton's missing, Dan.
No, but this keeps happening to
Steve
him.
Martin.
Is Giannis okay?
Yeah.
With a K.
It keeps happening to Amin. He jumps in here, I got it, and then he trips over himself right coming out of the gate. This is
To be
happening.
fair, Chris does spell his name with a K.
Yeah.
Earlier this week, we were talking about, a lot of people got mad at me because I was talking about, I don't know, I was asking. So Michael B. Jordan, when everyone's an amateur sleuth telling me that, making me learn that there's such a thing as a chin implant because some people are accused of having work done, whatever that work done is. If you're a public-facing person and you have to have some of that work done, don't you have to disappear for a while, like to not be seen? I don't know if it's 2 months or not, but if you're having any kind of work done, wouldn't that explain anybody disappearing for a while?
Well, yes, but the thing about the Royals is that they have their duty to the people is to do all these public appearances so that they're constantly and this is a massive air quote, obviously, because this is not a construct that I believe in, but that is their role, is to like do things for the British people, so they can't just disappear for 2 months because then they're not doing their jobs.
By the way, the side-by-side they used is like Michael B. Jordan when he was 12. It's like
Right before he developed a chin.
By the way, I used to work for a guy who got a chin implant way back in the day.
Chin plant.
Yes, like he was the manager of the computer store on campus at Georgia Tech, and he went away and he came back and he had a chin, and it was just like, come on, guy.
I think his chin looks better
He
before.
left with no chin.
He had no chin.
I'm the idiot for not knowing that there was such a thing as a chin implant.
Yeah.
Have you not heard of
Yes,
Matt Rife? I mean,
right.
geez.
Did you
Or Bill
see,
Cowher.
you know, Pookie and Jet on TikTok?
Yeah.
Pookie's looking incredible tonight.
Pookie's looking fire tonight. Dan, do you know those people?
Why am I the idiot
Yes
for
or
just
no?
assuming that everyone's chin is a real chin?
Well, because Pookie did a whole TikTok on getting a chin implant.
New Jack City.
She has a chin implant?
Oh yeah, she's had a lot of work done, and she's documented it, so I know everything.
So Chris Middleton hasn't played since February 6th, but Doc is saying Chris is coming back soon. But don't
Sounds
ask
familiar.
any questions.
A doctor is
Yeah,
saying
exactly
Chris is
right.
coming back soon.
Sounds
Ooh, which
familiar.
doctor?
I mean, would you like to get restarted again and have the runway again?
Sure, why not? Do we have the fanfare ready? All right, number 5, plastic surgery.
What
You're
is
doing
this
the
again?
list?
Top 5 reasons for what?
Right.
where Kate Middleton
Oh, Kate is.
I was gonna
Then
say-
we should do one for Chris.
I almost said Chris.
We should do one for Chris. Yes.
Wait a second. Can I do my top 5 athletes that connote royalty?
Ooh.
Dueling top 5.
Way, yeah.
All
top
at the same
five.
time.
Go ahead, Jess, number
All
five.
These
at
are
the
shared
same
top
time.
Patrick
fives. I worked on both.
All at the same time. Number 4, Amin.
She's in a coma.
Jesus.
Oh, you never know.
That one's interesting.
Number 4, Jess.
Yeah.
Aaron Davis.
Yeah.
What if she is?
Well,
You can't plan her coming out of a. I mean, if she's in a medically induced coma, you
there's
could,
no
Look,
way of knowing.
I think there's
Right.
evidence
Yeah.
she came home from the hospital, though.
Well,
The royals come for
Evidence.
everybody who's not related by blood. I'm just saying, you marry into that family, you better watch your back.
Number 3, she's dead.
yeah.
Oh, come on.
Well, what do you mean? You
The
can't rule it out at this
crossed,
point.
yeah.
You cannot rule it out.
Whoa!
There was another picture that came out yesterday, the day before,
Come
and then the
on.
agency admitted to all they did to
Come
alter was to
on.
lighten
Stock
it
photos.
slightly.
Come
But
on,
I mean,
man.
I don't
Come on,
know.
man.
on.
It's not the first time someone's covered up a death in a royal
Come
family.
on.
What do you
Wow, oh,
want?
wow.
Am I lying? Oh, I'm sorry. Did it get too real for you, Dan Le Batard?
It did. That is where the line is right there. Number
The coma
3
wasn't enough?
Number 3, Jess.
Prince Fielder.
Harry Carey.
Number 2, Amin.
She's getting cloned.
Whoa, that's a good one.
Good.
Honestly, it seems like a lot of work to be a royal, to go to all these events.
To
But
get
if
cloned.
but if she was murdered by a member of the royal family and you clone her, then you can keep murdering her and get away with it.
Number 2, Jess.
Bingo.
Arch Manning.
Number 1, Amin.
She's just tired and needs a break.
Number 1, Jess.
Corn Elder.
Wow, that's a callback right there. Is everyone ready? Everyone get out of the way because he's been working on it during breaks. He's ready to summon him right now. Everybody get out of the way. Here comes Harry Carey. Are you ready, everybody?
I don't think Harry Carey will be.
Well, that's not cool. Hey, everybody. Stop what you did.
Only 10 more seconds.
No. You've gone too far, Harry Carey.
Hi, everybody.
We're going to bring in Jeff Jarvis in a second, and if you're not interested in journalism, if you think I talk about it too much, if you think it's shitty and you want all journalists to go away, I advise you to skip the next 12 and a half minutes.
Okay.
Well, you can leave.
Okay.
So
Bye.
We'll get to that in a second, though. I do, before Stugotz leaves, want Amin.
Bye.
You already said goodbye. You're a couple of syllables too late on
I said
good.
okay. That's a fine.
Okay. See you later. Amin was complaining before he came in here, and Charlotte, you tell me if you understand this, because it's not.
This is a great start. Poor Jeff. He's like, what's going on?
I mean, he doesn't want to be
Nasty
here.
to journalists. Will that help?
He doesn't want to be here for any of the serious stuff, and that's fine. So he could just leave before the segment. He doesn't have to start the segment that way. But what I wanted to ask Charlotte, because I'm genuinely confused before we start here. Amin was just laying on a couch because he bombs in and he's tired and he's flying a lot and he's working a lot. And he was muttering under his breath, and he wasn't taking accountability for how he has started around here today. He was saying, I need 15. I need a proper 15-minute break. I can't just be dragged from place to place and be expected to perform. And so he laid down on the couch tired. Do you understand, Charlotte, what he's saying there?
That he's tired.
I'm glad we have Jeff Jarvis here because this right here, some might call it journalism, except that he's leaving out a whole lot of quotes and context from that statement that I made.
Wow.
You are corrupt, Mr. Le Batard, like the current state of American journalism. Isn't that right, Jeff Jarvis?
All right. Do you want to provide the context, or we'll do it later?
We'll do it later. I want to talk to Jeff right now.
All right.
Napgate?
He wasn't napping. He was just in the other room on the couch complaining that he hadn't gotten a proper 15 minutes. We'll get back to that in a second, but I will introduce.
All employees whine. It's the natural state of things. It's all right.
So Jeff Jarvis is a longtime advisor to major media companies, longtime journalism professor. He's the author of the Gutenberg parentheses, The Age of Print and Its Lessons for the Age of the Internet. I have a number of things I want to talk to him about. One of them was yesterday's fear by Greg Cody and now others that AI by 2029 is going to overtake us all. Can you please give me, what are you shaking your head no about? What's happening here?
It's bull. It's macho waving by the AI boys to think that they're ever going to be they can make the machine that's so smart and smarter than us all, so they're smarter than us all. It's crap. Don't panic about it. Don't worry about it. They're all part of a cult called Tescriel. They're nutballs.
I love Jeff.
That was shocking.
Jeff, I mean,
that was just.
You are the man,
that
Jeff.
was just
Sorry,
Yes,
shocking.
Jeff.
That right there is how you do it.
It's not
waving.
AGI, it's
Yeah,
BSD.
Yeah.
A macho waving by the AI boys.
And they're all boys. They're all boys. The people who are smart about AI are all women and people of color. And you don't see them quoted in media.
Wait a minute. What?
Best interview ever.
Did you say they're in a cult? Jeff?
See what Stugotz is missing? See what he's missing by leaving?
A cult or the occult, Billy? What's the question you're asking?
Did you say they're in a cult?
Yeah, there's a guy named Emil Torres and Timnit Gebru who've written about this. The AI people, Musk and Thiel and Altman and the people at Audacity, one of the other companies, they're all involved in a series of weird beliefs that move from effective altruism you've probably heard of, long-termism. They believe that we owe the future 10 to the 58th human beings more than we owe today, and they're the smart ones who will build that future, and they're so smart they can build technology that could destroy the future, so stop us before we destroy mankind. It's ridiculous, it's ego, and the media quote these people as if they're brilliant, and they're not.
You have accrued a lifetime of journalism wisdom, so explain to me how horrified you are as you see Elon Musk and Facebook chew up all of the principles you've always cared about.
I blame myself in part because the fact that I moved from my blog, which I still have, little old buzz machine, but I ignored it and I went to Twitter. And so I went to a place that could be taken over by a narcissistic nihilist and ruined. And the essence of the internet is open source and open. That's why I'm glad we're getting new services like Blue Sky, even Facebook's Threads and Mastodon, where we can talk openly and nobody can buy it. What Musk has done to public discourse is just awful.
Well, what's he done to it, and is he the worst culprit here?
Yeah, because he's the jerk of jerks. What he's done to it is he's enabled Nazis and bad people to come back in. His own opinions are ridiculous, and he forces them on all of us. He's ruined Twitter by bringing it down. It's a real shame. I miss the Twitter of old. But I think what we have to. I have a new book coming out later this fall called The Web We Weave, in which I argue it's time to demote the geeks, and it's time for us humans to take charge again.
The reason that I was having you on is because I wanted someone who could bring some expertise to what's happening at CNN right now. I'd like to understand the business of it better. I'd like to understand why it is in such an important year that this feels like such a flimsy news outfit when it used to be a name for doing this correctly before profit became something that consumed the media game.
Yeah, it's not just profit, it's lack of profit. It's the fact that the ad business, for reasons I don't know, I can't fully figure out, is taking a dive everywhere right now. And that may be just a momentary thing, but I think it's probably bigger than that. I think that marketers now, though, they can reach people directly, and every business is hurting. Vice is turning off its website. BuzzFeed is suffering. The New York Times is doing fine because it's the New York effing Times and it's like nothing else. But most media are having a bad time right now. And if you're at all weak, you're really having a bad time. And CNN, I think, tried to be the generic news. It wasn't just that they were trying to do it right. They were trying to be nothing from nobody, but and also to build that on celebrity. And they spent a fortune, millions and millions and millions of dollars on these people who do what you do, look at a camera and talk. And I don't think we need that. Now, I don't watch CNN that much. I'm an old-fashioned, plain old liberal, so I watch MSNBC. But I think that CNN got trapped in a vice between the left and the right and doesn't know where to turn. Thompson's a very smart guy. He ran the BBC, he ran the New York Times. He's trying like crazy, but I think it's going to be his toughest job yet.
8 months before Election Day, Dylan Byers at Puck reports, quote, a mere 6 months into Mark Thompson's tenure as the new CEO, the CNN panic rooms are already filling up with agitated and paranoid talent and executives who are second-guessing his new plan, end quote. Emily Smith at The Wrap reports CNN boss Mark Thompson is looking to fund his digital-first transformation by cutting anchor salaries, currently more than $50 million, as he seeks to remake the ailing cable network into a U.S. version of the BBC. Thompson, the former head of the BBC and the New York Times, has said he wants to unleash a, quote, revolution at the 43-year-old news network and will not spare the network's formidable talent roster. Am I talking about a dead network that's leadershipless because all of the systems in journalism are failing?
I think Thompson is very, very smart. He did well at the Times, but he's inherited what looks like a snake pit of politics and egos. And for him to say he wants to be revolutionary, no, the revolution is happening outside there. Every newspaper chain in America right now, except for a few, is controlled by hedge funds. They're cutting them to the marrow. They're not investing. They're not innovating. I think it's time to give up on big old media. The same with linear television. You should replace them. Give up on big old linear TV. It's not working. And I think that what has to happen is, my students, my graduates who come out and are going to truly reinvent journalism and reinvent what we do. Because journalism, 40% of Americans avoid news actively. Only 30% of Americans trust news. News has damaged many communities in this country. News was run for too long by people who look like me, old white men. And it's got to be in a position where the voices who for too long were not heard can take over. And it's going to be messy. It's going to be spotty. But it's time to give up on the old, I'm afraid to say. And I say that reluctantly. I don't dance on the grave happily, but they're not doing well.
Jeff, what do you say to your students when, like, I occasionally have someone be like, I want to do this. How do you do this? And I have no idea what to tell them. What do you say to the people you teach about, should you keep trying to do this as a career? And what is the future?
It ain't easy, but I started 2 programs to try to answer that. One was an entrepreneurial journalism program to try to help students become responsible stewards in the field and to make enough money to buy their ramen noodles and do their work. The other is a program I'm very proud of called engagement journalism. I've left the school now, but I'm going to do it somewhere else, where we say, don't start with the journalism, don't start with your ideas, don't start with your biases. Start by listening to communities that for too long have not been heard in mainstream mass media, and serve them. Figure out how to do that. There are ways, I think, to serve the communities. Our engagement journalism students go out there, they get great jobs, they are the revolutionaries. But some of them, yes, do go to old newsrooms where they get frustrated and then want to leave the whole field. We lose a lot of talent, especially diverse talent in journalism, because they hit ceilings in the organizations they go to. But if they go to smart, new places that are willing to learn, there are jobs out there. There are ways to change journalism.
You are a woke liberal kook.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Good talking to you. Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate having you on again. Good seeing you.
Always love it. I'll be here anytime you call. I'll be here.
Jeff, before you go, is Kate Middleton in a coma, and are they hiding it from us?
Not again. Not again.
God knows. God knows. Well, put it this way. The entire royalty is a deep fake.
There it is.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Oh,
Jeff,
my God.
you rule. Thank
Oh,
you.
my God.
Shocking
Another standing
allegation.
ovation.
A shocking allegation.
Amazing.
A standing ovation is a guest.
Twice.
It's nice to have you back, Stugotz. We've got some things to get to here, including a Kobe statue that has some misspellings on it. But I just want to see real quick here, because I'm not sure the room knows this, but the people who learn it for the first time really do get shocked. Is there anybody in the room at all who does not know who the father of Paul Giamatti is? Is there anyone in the room who just has no idea who Paul Giamatti's father is?
Paul Giamatti has a father?
Oh, my God.
I know half the answer. I can't remember his name, but I know what he used to do.
Is it
Same.
Is it okay?
Oh, I know his dad. It's Mr. Giamatti.
Yeah.
Well done.
Is it shocking to anyone in the room that Paul Giamatti's father was once the commissioner of Major League Baseball?
Shut the front door.
No.
And stuff at Yale, right?
What?
Well, but more famously, he banned Pete Rose from baseball and then died like 5 months later.
That's what he's known for right there.
Yes.
Wait, that was him?
Dying?
Yes.
Well, no, right after he banned Pete Rose.
Yes.
He banned Pete Rose for
Begged to
life.
follow up, right.
Pete Rose is still trying to get into the game. Still trying, and he can't because the ban was for life. It was a serious ban, and then Paul Giamatti's father soon thereafter died.
Do you think Pete Rose hates billions?
And Paul doesn't like to talk about it. Like, he doesn't like to talk about his dad and what he did to Pete Rose in interviews and stuff.
Oh, it's specifically about Pete Rose, not just about his dad.
Is he on Pete's side or he's on his dad's side?
I think he doesn't like to answer those questions. Like,
Wow.
people are always like,
Correct,
should
yes.
Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? And he's just like, I'm going to sit this one out.
But then Pete Rose must really hate billions then. It's like, oh, this bastard, just throw me a bone here. Your pops isn't even here anymore.
But if he agreed with his dad, right, he would say it.
Stugotz, imagine this. Imagine Paul Giamatti opens up and says, right before my father passed away, he said, maybe I was a little too harsh on Pete. Like, how would
Dying words?
Yeah, it's like, maybe I was a little too harsh on Pete.
It's just a lose-lose for Paul Giamatti
No.
in the headline.
He could save Pete Rose's career or his legacy. He could. All he has to do is say that, and then Pete Rose is vindicated.
Is he even a baseball fan? Maybe he just doesn't care.
Oh, man.
Has anyone asked Paul about sports recently?
He's one of the great actors of our time, correct? Like, he's going to go down in whatever it is you throw of this era's great actors. If I gave you 10 of them, all 20, you got...
Yeah, like 20.
10's pushing it?
10, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, 10's
he's a great actor.
He's a great actor. Yeah. I can name 10 that are better.
Okay, but
let's do it. Who are they?
Stallone.
Amin.
Oh, Jesus.
Kurt Russell.
Stallone and Kurt Russell begins the bidding.
Val Kilmer.
Okay, there we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Liam Neeson.
That's it.
Val Kilmer was such a weird take from Stu on Monday.
De Niro,
Great
Pacino,
actor.
Val Kilmer was his third. Like, you could give him.
What?
Yes, that's
That
how
was
he did
his
it.
Top
That's
Gun,
what
huh?
he said. Those were his top three.
Tombstone.
There is no telling what
He was great in that movie. His best role.
Stole the show in Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
He too is about to come back out with Adam Driver. It's they're remaking everything. They're remaking American Psycho. Their Roadhouse is being remade. The director's pissed off because it's only on Amazon and he wanted a theater release. He's being quoted, Roadhouse, the remake of Roadhouse. You've done that? Have you done?
Can I just say that the last few times I've been here on the show, Roadhouse has come up,
I
and
know.
I don't
Loves
hear it.
Roadhouse.
I don't hear it anywhere else in my life
loves
except for
Roadhouse.
here. I'm like, what?
Every couple of weeks for 20 years
Yes,
now. Okay.
and Point Break as well.
Yes,
Point Break.
great.
And Tango and
yeah.
Cash.
Yeah.
Speaking of Point Break,
Wild.
did you guys see that
Go, bro.
Breakpoint, the Netflix show about tennis, has not been renewed for another season?
Really?
Really? Did you watch it, Stu? You're probably our resident tennis guy.
I watched it I watched one episode of one season, and it wasn't very
So you're
good.
the reason.
Yeah.
I love that our resident tennis guy is just a guy who once returned half of a serve while smoking a cigarette
It's
off.
pretty
of,
impressive. I mean,
From Riley Opelka, yes. That's our resident tennis guy. They tried to do the Drive to Survive of tennis. They've done it now with golf too, which I've watched all of these shows at this point, and none of them quite have been able to get to what made Drive to Survive really hit in 2020 and 2021. And I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I did like the idea of a tennis show, but it was not interesting to me at all.
Here's the problem, right? Number one is Drive to Survive. What made it successful is it took people who did not care about this sport and made them invested in it, right? That's number one. And the other ones, all the spin-offs, seem to be preaching to their choirs. If you're a golf fan, I'm sure you love the golf one, but for someone like me who's not interested in golf, it was incredibly boring, right? Number two, and this one's really big, Drive to Survive had everybody, right? It had all the main characters of Formula One, right? For the most part. For the most part, yes.
Well, Max Verstappen wasn't in one of the seasons because he didn't want to participate. Lewis Hamilton
I'm
wasn't
saying-
really featured in all of the seasons.
When it started,
really well.
it had great buy-in, right? The tennis one, the biggest guy was Nick Kyrgios. maybe
Well, they had the top women's stars in the tennis show. Like Irina Sabalenka was one of the main stories. Iga Swiatek was one of the main featured people. They also featured a couple players. Zverev was one of them, who was accused of domestic violence multiple times, but the show never addressed it. They just had him on a bunch of episodes and talked about like his life as though there was nothing else happening behind the scenes, and a lot of fans did not like that.
It seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, and this happens all the time in entertainment, is that F1 almost created its sport around its reality series, and then everyone rushed into the breach and says, we'll do one of those. We'll make our sport bigger, too, and none of the original magic can be recaptured because there was something about the original magic that made it special.
Well, Julia Alexander at Puck News has an article out actually about Netflix live sports. Vulcan Chess is the title, because basically instead of getting the rights, Netflix was building the, quote, drama of sports and trying to do all of these sports adjacent things so they don't have to pay for the rights, but they get Drive to Survive. But now there are too many of these. There are too many documentaries about the live thing that the market doesn't really want them and it can't support it. And also, if they're not great, then what are you going to do?
Also, like but all of these shows do the thing where they like replay the montage of the actual match or the race or whatever, but you watch it a year later and it's in slow-mo, and it's like, I'd rather just watch a tennis match. I'd rather just watch them play tennis, because I'm watching like a slow-mo version of a match that I watched happen a year ago. I already know who wins. Like, this isn't really adding a lot for me.
But what is the best sport to watch in slow motion?
It's not golf.
No.
I don't need to watch
Dirty
a
in slow
slow-mo
motion,
of a putt. I really don't. I'm good.
Football's good when you're like seeing if a first down happened, like when the ball's reaching across before the knee went down.
How about boxing, like a punch to the head, where you see like the jaw
Spit.
move?
Rocky.
Sweat comes
What about
flying.
diving?
Ooh.
Diving is pretty fun.
Where you're
in slow
critiquing
motion.
it, you're like, let's see where the splash was. How big
Yeah,
was
I'm
the
like, I could
splash?
keep my legs straighter than that.
What was that voice? Obnoxious, condescending diver person?
Yeah, it's me. That was an impression of me watching people dive. I did diving in 7th and 8th grade.
Really?
Yeah, my dad
Is
said
there
I looked
video
like
evidence?
a, quote, wet noodle in the air.
Were you dressed as Groucho Marx when you did it?
No, unfortunately, that was 5th grade Halloween.
That's an oddball joke, ladies and gentlemen. That's oddball. Every day but Monday.
Why aren't you looking at the camera? Why are you looking at me? You did the promo toward me
I thought
instead
you were
of
mad
the
at him.
camera. You did the
wrong
do it to the.
I was looking at the wrong camera.
I know when oddball is. You don't need to tell me that.
To answer Jess's question, though, I think the problem is the show should not be for someone who would watch the tennis match. The show should be for someone who's like, I never watched tennis. Like, oh, but I'm invested. So the perfect example of this, other than Drive to Survive, is Welcome to Wrexham, where they built this entire reality show, and you're invested in seeing whether this team makes it to the top or not. But I'm not invested enough to watch like 17th division English soccer. I just don't care like that. But I was invested into the show. But what happened was after season 1, it was so popular that people actually started following Wrexham and giving results and stuff like that. I'd see them on the bottom line on ESPN. I'm like, well, thanks for nothing. Now I'm not going to watch season 2. They ruined it.
I think one of the things that made Drive to Survive work was that it had great characters that people didn't know and then became like huge fans of and were obsessed with. And for whatever reason, the tennis version, it didn't translate and it didn't work. And I don't know if there is like really one reason why, but I do think that tennis fans are bummed because they feel like it was a missed opportunity for the sport to really become more popular and more mainstream. And instead it just kind of fizzled out after 2 seasons.
I feel like the missed opportunity here is you just throw a based on a true story at the beginning of it, and then you just change the way the matches end so that they better suit your narrative.
Ons Jabeur wins Wimbledon.
Yeah, because then you're not watching it like, I already know what happened, because it's based on a true story and you don't know what's going to happen.
Do you cast actors as the players, or do you let the players play themselves and they just go along with whatever the made-up result is?
No, the players will be playing themselves.
No.
No, they will not be playing themselves, I meant to say.
Starring Angelina Jolie as Coco Gauff.
Well, that would be a stretch.
Why is that?
Johansson, huh?
Hollywood says, why is that, Billy? What's a stretch?
What was that? Was that Hollywood?
That's Hollywood.
That's Hollywood.
baby. It's Hollywood.
I know.
There's no stress.
Obvious.
Paul Giamatti as Nick Curios.
No, please get deeper into character. I would love to do this show with just with Hollywood.
If I may, Dan, I like to address my favorite starlet. It's Charlotte, baby. You know what? This Hollywood. We make magic come true.
You promised me so much.
Oh, I promise you everything. I promise you the world. It's Hollywood. I guarantee you an Oscar. I can guarantee you anything. Doesn't mean I'll deliver. But that's Hollywood for you, huh? It's called show business, not show friendship.
I've never gotten to see Hollywood. Billy doesn't take me anywhere north of the Miami-Dade
I took
County
you to
line.
get washed last week.
The car making an appearance.
Hollywood, Florida.
That was the joke, Roy.
Oh.
He's so proud of himself.
It's time for Against the Spread.
Against
And it is brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Roy Bellamy, kick us off.
All right, we got the Avalanche and the Canucks tonight. The Canucks are 25-8 as home favorites this season, but the Avalanche are 2-0 against them this season. Both of those games were at Colorado, and they have a guy named Nathan McKinnon who might win the Hart Trophy this season. He has a 7-game goal streak so far. The Avalanche are road dogs at 1.5. I'm going with them against the spread.
Against the Spread. Jessica.
ACC tournament, Dano. Your Clemson Tigers against the Boston College Golden Eagles tonight. Late tip. I have Clemson -7. One of the best teams in the ACC, underrated. And that's against the spread.
Charlotte, bring us home.
All right, I have your Detroit Pistons over the Toronto Raptors because this might be Taj Gibson's last game. This is for producer Thomas out there.
That's a terrible pick.
No, they've been 2 out of their last 3 with Taj Gibson, #rising tide.
Yeah.
That's also not ball callback.
You
Terrible
can't
reason
make a
to.
bet in 2024 because of Taj Gibson.
Against the spread. I'm with you, Dan.